All right, we're here to talk about a very strategic way to deal with or use auto regulation, specifically with low rep hypertrophy sets. So I'm going to stop and say one thing. If this sounds like it's for you, it is. And if it doesn't sound like it's for you, then it's not. So this is a strategy I use for low rep sets. I think you can use it for anybody doing any type of training. And I also think this is a way you can make progression. You can use it in programming, and in fact, I do use it in programming. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share a little bonus strategy for best practices and how to accumulate the most total tonnage in the rep schemes that you're using. So we're going to start with a concept. Raise your hand if you know what splice sets are. All right, now everybody put them down because I literally made it up. So unless you've trained on one of my programs, a lot of my programming, if you ever buy a program, either a subscription on the app or PDF form, it comes with a lot of coaching notes. So specifically where you can find this, I'll link it below in case you're interested. My Supersets program 2.0, the second wave, it's a 9-week program. The second set of 3 weeks is all about splice sets. So everything I'm going to talk about here, you would go through this exact thing firsthand in your training, and all my coaching notes provides the education, the mindset, and the strategies to accomplish it. And the goal is to teach you something that the books don't teach you, that I found to be very helpful in my training, and hopefully you can apply it to any training. If you're a coach, if you're training, if you don't even have to use my program to use this method. It's a super common sense, logical method. So I'm going to go through splice sets. The first thing we need to do is we need to remember with low rep hypertrophy sets, you have to become a master at two things: fatigue management and motor recruitment. They go hand in hand. If you burn out too fast, right? Sometimes you're doing 8, 10, 12, maybe in 15 sets. Sometimes you hit a spot where you might have pushed too hard too soon. That's what we want to avoid. So the splice sets is an option for when you feel like you're in that situation, and it's an edge. If you're looking for an edge in training, this is going to be a massive edge for your training. So splice sets are simply forms of auto regulation. You're changing the reps per set inside the session based on your performance. So I'll give you an example in a second, but I'll give you a bigger picture example. I'm from Florida. If I was going to the beach, if I had plans tomorrow to go to the beach and I get up and it's storming, I'm not still going to the beach. I've got to change. That's the easiest way to say it is the numbers on paper are just numbers on paper. It's a direction. It's not the Bible. It's not the law. We need to know how to stay within the bounds of the program, but we don't have to follow it literally. And I always encourage, you have to learn to make your own adjustments and modifications to get the most out of any program. So in training, you're going to have three options. Plan A, that's the original plan. You got plan B, and I've scratched it out because you never go with plan B. You always find other ways to make plan A work, right? That's the mindset. Plan A is the goal. We just need to figure out how to get it done if it's not going to go straight up how we plan. So here's the example. You're doing 5 sets of 5 on back squat. The third set, the last rep, you know that set was just really hard, and in your mind you're thinking, and people have experienced this, is very common, I don't know if I can do the 4th and 5th set. That's the situation. You've done 3. You don't know if you can do 2 more sets. The third set was way harder for whatever reason, and you don't know if you can do the 4th and 5th set. So the magic question is, what is the ultimate goal? And if you're training on low rep hypertrophy sets, the ultimate goal is to maximize on that day, to maximize the total tonnage or the total pounds lifted in the total amount of reps prescribed. In this case, 5x5, I'm saying in 25 reps, you're trying to accumulate the most amount of pounds lifted in those 5 sets of 5 or 25 total reps. So that's plan A. Okay. Now you hit that spot where, right, you don't know if you can complete the last 2 sets. So plan B would be to take weight off. Take weight off and finish your last 2 sets. And so I'd stop there and say, let's ask the magic question. Does this decision align with the goal? If the goal is to lift the most total weight in 25 total reps, taking weight off is counterproductive. I'm going to show you a way to game the system and really use a strategy to help not do this. This is a last resort. Taking weight off, for me and for this type of training, last resort. I do not want to take weight off. So I'm going to use splice sets, and here's how you do it. You completed 3 sets of 5, or a better way to look at it is you've completed 15 reps. You have a remaining 10 reps left. So instead of taking weight off and finishing set 4 and 5, I'm going to use 5 sets of 2. That is an example of a splice set. You're taking the remaining reps and creating a lower rep per set that allows you to either use the same weight or even better, add weight, which is the real way to win this game in the weight room. So that's what I would do. And then if you got to the 4th set of 2 and you thought, man, I don't know if I can do another set of 2, do 2 more sets of 1. That's the game. So especially if you're training on this style with my program, or this is a mindset for this style of training. If that is the goal, is to lift the most amount of weight, forget about the reps per set and just do what you need to do. Prioritize the total number of reps, not necessarily the reps per set. Because what's it matter 5 by 5 versus there? It does matter in the bigger picture of programming. But on this day, if I want to win, if I want to find a way to outdo my current situation, and I don't want to back off or take weight off, splice sets are the way to go. Now, this is another analogy. This is a little bonus I've got for you, because when you're doing mini sets, like 8, 10, 12, 15 sets of 1 to 3 or 4 or 5 reps, people, especially new to this idea, they'll do 10 sets and then they just stop. So I'm going to lay out this example, and this will, again, widen or give you other options in your training that fit you individually. You need to make these type of decisions on your own. Usually, if you go to a fishing tournament, there's a fish limit. You can't keep more than, let's just say, 5 fish in the live well. That's the limit. Once you fill the limit, you don't stop fishing. So if I'm in this tournament, I catch 5 fish, I don't stop fishing. I fish for bigger fish. I try to catch bigger fish to replace a smaller fish. That's exactly what you're doing in the weight room. If I'm going back to that 5 by 5 example, and I do 5 sets of 5, and on the 5th set, I think to myself, that first set was really easy. I only did 135. I'm going to do another set. I'm going to forget that first set, and I'm only counting my 5 best sets. So sometimes, let's use an example of 10 sets of 3. Sometimes the first 4 reps, you're kind of, you're just getting warmed up, or maybe you undershot what weight you should use. At the end, replace it. If you're at set 10 and you knew the first 3 sets were too easy, or you've got more in the tank to keep going, try to find ways to replace the lighter weights. That's ultimately how you can individualize your training and get the most out of these low rep sets, especially if you're training on the low rep hypertrophy sets. That is something that I encourage in my programming, in the education part, in the coaching notes. I'm actively trying to show you ways to make your own decisions, and ultimately you can take these same strategies and apply it to any method of training. So I'll link those programs I mentioned earlier below if you're interested, and let's get training.